A millionaire saw a child begging at a traffic light when he opened the window of his limousine. He couldn't believe what the boy was capable of doing. Samuel, a boy of just 10 years old, walked through the busy streets of San Francisco with firm steps, despite the tiredness written all over his face. His thin body and worn clothes told stories of a childhood stolen by the harshness of life on the streets. At every corner, the little boy struggled to secure the essentials, a piece of bread and some dignity. "Today will be different. I'll get enough to eat," thought Samuel as he approached a traffic light. Observing the stopped cars, he chose a simpler model, believing that there he could find a generous heart. Taking a worn rag, he began to clean the windshield with agile and careful movements. The driver, a middle-aged man, rolled down the window and handed him some coins. "Thank you, sir," Samuel said with a shy smile, trying to hide the hunger that was tightening his stomach. Gratitude overflowed in his eyes as the boy put the money in his pocket and prepared to approach the next car. The sun was beating down on the city in the afternoon, and the heat seemed to drain his strength. Samuel muttered to himself, "Just a few more cars." Despite his tiredness, he remained determined. He spotted a luxury car and, with a mixture of nervousness and hope, decided to give it a try. The windows were closed, but that didn't stop him. "Come on, you can do it," he encouraged himself in thought. As he walked, his eyes noticed a younger child sitting on the sidewalk. The boy looked even hungrier. Samuel stopped for a moment, counted his coins and made a decision. He approached the child with a gentle smile. "Are you hungry?" he asked. The girl nodded shyly, her big eyes shining with expectation. Samuel handed over some coins and said, "Buy something to eat. I can still get more." The girl, overcome with emotion, began to cry. "Thank you. I was very hungry," the girl said, getting up with difficulty. "You don't have to thank me. I know how hard it is," Samuel replied as he helped the girl to stand up. The gesture of kindness renewed his determination. Looking around, he saw other children in similarly difficult situations. He felt that he was not alone in this struggle and promised to continue. In the square, he offered to help a woman with heavy bags. "Can I carry your bags, ma'am?" he asked humbly. The woman, surprised by the boy's courage, gave him some coins and a warm thank you. Despite the exhausting day, Samuel smiled with relief. At the end of the night, sitting in a quiet corner, he counted the coins he had collected. "Tomorrow will be better," he murmured, looking at the city lights. Even facing difficulties, he believed in the kindness of people and in a future where dreams would be possible. Joseph Benitez was a middle-aged man with striking features and an imposing presence that did not go unnoticed. As he walked through the busy streets of San Francisco, he wore an impeccably tailored suit, a symbol of the success he had achieved in the competitive business world. At every step, his posture reflected the determination of someone who had overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges. Joseph thought, "Today will be a decisive day," straightening his tie before entering an elegant office building. Inside the luxurious corporate space, Joseph was greeted with respect by employees. Many admired him for his inspiring career, as someone who started from nothing and built a solid career with ethics and perseverance. As he sat at his large desk, surrounded by contracts and reports, he allowed himself a moment of contemplation as he looked at the old photo of his parents that he kept in his office. That image transported him to his humble childhood, where every coin was valuable and hard work was a constant. Despite material success, Joseph felt something inexplicable, an emptiness. "Why do I still feel this way?" he muttered to himself as he reviewed documents. Joseph knew that money and recognition had failed to fill an essential part of his life. Looking back at the photo of her parents, she wondered, what would they say if they saw me now? As the day progressed, Joseph immersed himself in meetings and negotiations, maintaining his firm and determined stance. Even so, between one commitment and another, that thought persisted. During a coffee break, he looked out the window at the city and reflected, "Business is business, but what really matters at the end of the day?" Late in the afternoon, one of his associates mentioned a charity event that would take place in the city. Joseph, normally only focused on the practical side of business, was intrigued. "Maybe that's it. Helping other people can give me what I'm missing." The idea began to take shape in his mind as Joseph recalled his difficult childhood when his family barely had enough to eat. Later, driving calmly through the streets of San Francisco, Joseph observed the life around him. People sleeping on the sidewalks brought back memories of difficult times, when hunger and lack of opportunities accompanied them daily. A lump tightened his throat as he reflected on how he had managed to overcome that scenario. At the traffic lights, he saw a boy approaching with a rag in his hand. The boy hesitated when he saw the luxury car, but he took courage. "Please, sir, don't hurt me," he pleaded in a shaky voice. "Yesterday a man was aggressive towards me and threatened me for trying to clean his car." Joseph calmly rolled down the window. "Don't worry, I won't hurt you. What do you need?" Samuel took a deep breath and replied hopefully, "I just want to clean your car, sir, so I can earn some money and eat." Impressed by the boy's determination, Joseph allowed Samuel to begin. "You can clean it up, son," as he watched Samuel work. While cleaning the windshield with agile movements, Samuel was focused on what he was doing. The boy had an impressive dedication, especially for someone so young. From inside the car, Joseph watched everything attentively, surprised by the boy's skill. "You're very good at this, kid," Joseph commented, trying to make conversation. Samuel stopped for a moment, looked at Joseph and smiled. "Thank you, sir. I try to do my best in everything I do." The simplicity and sincerity of the words touched something deep in Joseph. "This child deserves a chance," he thought, impressed by the boy's maturity. When the work was finished, Joseph handed him a generous sum of money. "This is for your effort," he said, holding out the bills. The boy looked at the money and hesitated. "Sir, I just want to earn enough to eat today. I don't want a handout, I just work to pay for my food." Samuel's honesty left the millionaire speechless. Embarrassed, the boy returned almost the entire amount, keeping only the fair value for the service. Joseph was amazed. The kid doesn't just want the money, he wants a real chance, he thought, feeling a growing connection with the boy. "What's your name?" Joseph asked. "Samuel, sir," the boy replied, surprised by the interest. That simple question seemed like something the boy hadn't heard in a long time. "Are you hungry, Samuel? How about we grab a bite to eat at that diner?" Joseph pointed to a small cafe nearby. "Then you can take a look at my car again. I think it needs another cleaning." Samuel, surprised, accepted the invitation. "Thank you, sir. I accept." Joseph smiled, pleased to find a way to help the boy without hurting his pride. As they walked, Joseph tried to get to know Samuel better. "Where are your parents?" he asked carefully. The boy lowered his head. "I lost my parents some time ago. I've been alone ever since." Joseph's heart sank at this. This boy has been through so much, he thought, determined to help. "You are very brave, Samuel. It is not easy to live like this." At the diner, Joseph ordered a full meal for the boy. As he ate, Samuel showed genuine gratitude. "Thank you, sir. That means a lot to me," he said, his eyes shining. "You deserve it," Joseph replied. "Hard work and honesty are rare these days." The curious looks from the other customers did not go unnoticed, but Joseph did not care. At the end of the meal, Joseph looked directly at Samuel. "I really want to help you. How about you come to my house? There you won't have to worry about what to eat or where to sleep." The boy was suspicious for a moment, but something in Joseph's eyes conveyed confidence. "Really?" he asked, his voice shaking. Joseph nodded firmly. "Yes, you deserve a chance at a better life." With tears in his eyes, Samuel accepted the offer. "Thank you, sir. I won't let you down." "I know you won't, Samuel. Let's go. We have a lot to do." As they made their way to Joseph's house, the millionaire felt that he had finally found a true purpose, to change the boy's life and perhaps find a new reason for his own life. Joseph arrived home with Samuel, still dirty and in worn clothes, but with a gleam of hope in his eyes. The boy's expression was a mixture of shyness and curiosity as he took in the luxury around him. However, the moment of peace was quickly interrupted. As soon as Amelia, Joseph's mother, saw the two, her face contorted into an expression of pure discontent. "What does this mean, Joseph?" Amelia asked, her voice cold and sharp. Joseph, remaining calm, answered firmly, "This is Samuel. The boy needs help, and I have decided to bring him here." Amelia, A woman marked by arrogance and concern for social status looked Samuel up and down, as if the boy were an intruder. "This is unacceptable," he said, crossing his arms in disapproval. "Mum, this isn't about reputation, this is about doing the right thing," Joseph explained, placing his hand on Samuel's shoulder, conveying support to the boy who clearly felt uncomfortable. Amelia huffed, clearly irritated. "And what will people think? We're sheltering a homeless man. This will only bring trouble to our family." Joseph took a deep breath, knowing that he would have to face his mother's resistance. "Samuel is not a beggar, Mother. He is just a child who has been through a lot and deserves a chance." Amelia took a few steps toward the living room, still dissatisfied. "You have always been stubborn, Joseph, but this is too much. I will not allow this boy to stay here." The millionaire, remaining calm, replied, "This is my house, Mother. I have already made my decision. Samuel will stay, and I accept full responsibility for that." Amelia looked at her son with disdain, but realized that it would be impossible to convince him to change his mind. Before leaving the room, she made one last comment to Samuel. "Don't think that you will have an easy life here, boy. I will be watching." Despite the hostility, Samuel raised his head with determination. "I'm a good person, ma'am. I just want a chance," he said firmly, which made Joseph feel even more proud of the boy. After Amelia left, Joseph led Samuel to the guest room. "Sorry about this. My mother can be difficult, but I'm here to help you," he said sincerely. Samuel nodded gratefully. "Thank you, sir. I promise I'll do my best not to disappoint you." Joseph smiled and touched the boy's shoulder. "I know you will, Samuel." Meanwhile, Amelia was alone in the living room, looking out the window. "This is absurd. Joseph is putting everything we've built at risk," she muttered to herself, still convinced that Joseph was making a mistake. On the other side, Joseph felt confident. Preparing a meal for Samuel, Joseph reflected, "I know I made the right decision. I'll give this boy another chance. Let's show him that kindness can still prevail." Joseph led Samuel to the new room, gesturing to where the boy could rest. Soon after, the two of them headed to the kitchen. There, Samuel prepared a simple but nutritious meal, albeit with some hesitation. Once he started eating, however, he couldn't stop. Each bite seemed to ease the hunger that the boy clearly felt. Joseph watched in silence, his heart sinking at the sight. "You must have been very hungry," he commented, as he served more food. Samuel just nodded, without saying a word, focused on satisfying his hunger. "Eat as much as you need, there's more here," Joseph encouraged. After the meal, he took Samuel to the guest room. From the closet, he took some clean clothes, souvenirs from when his nephew used to visit him. "Put these on, I'll draw you a bath," Joseph said, pointing to the bathroom. Still shy, Samuel took the clothes and thanked him quietly. "Lord, I've never had such good clothes." The comment made Joseph feel a mixture of sadness and determination. That will change, he thought, as he prepared a first aid kit to treat the wounds he saw on the boy's arms and legs, marks of a hard life on the streets. When Samuel came out of the shower, clean and wearing the new clothes, Joseph began to treat the wounds. "This may hurt a little, but it will help heal," he warned. Samuel, grateful for the care, just nodded. As he applied the bandages, Amelia entered the room. Her face showed shock and displeasure at seeing him caring for the boy. "What are you doing, Joseph?" she asked with evident disapproval. Joseph continued calmly, "I'm taking care of him. Samuel is a child." "That's ridiculous," Amelia replied, huffing. "That boy is a beggar, not a guest." Joseph stood up, staring at her firmly. "He's not just a beggar, he's a child. I won't stand for you treating him like this." Amelia, irritated, left the room. Joseph turned his attention to Samuel, determined to give the boy another chance. The next morning, Joseph found Samuel sitting at the table, staring intently at a newspaper. The boy's lips moved, trying to decipher the words. "Are you trying to read?" Joseph asked, pulling up a chair to sit next to him. Samuel nodded, embarrassed. "I can't read, sir," he admitted, looking down at his hands. Joseph smiled and put his hand on the boy's shoulder. "Let's change that. We can start today." He took out a notebook and pen and began with the letters of the alphabet, patiently explaining each one. Samuel listened attentively, his eyes shining with determination. "A BC," the boy repeated, trying to memorize. Joseph was impressed by how quickly Samuel absorbed the lessons. As they worked, Amelia came into the kitchen and watched skeptically. "Do you really think this boy will learn? You can't expect to teach a street child to read," he said. Joseph, undeterred, replied, "Everyone deserves a chance. Samuel is smart and determined. Samuel can do it." Later, Samuel carefully wrote his first words, "My name is Samuel." Joseph smiled proudly. "You're doing great. With practice, you'll learn quickly." Later that day, Joseph made a decision that would change Samuel's life forever. Joseph contacted his lawyer to begin the process of adopting the boy. He knew that with his financial resources and determination, he could offer Samuel a future he had never imagined. The legal team immediately began the legal proceedings, while Joseph already planned to enroll the boy in school as soon as everything was settled. Over the next few weeks, Joseph devoted time each day to teaching Samuel. The boy, always attentive and determined, proved to be a quick learner. With each lesson, his eagerness to learn grew, and one day, full of enthusiasm, Samuel said, "I want to learn everything, Joseph." Motivated by the boy's progress, Joseph decided it was time to take a bigger step. "Education will open many doors for you, Samuel," Joseph explained with conviction. Despite this, Amelia continued to express her disapproval. "You're wasting your time, Joseph. This boy will never fit in," she insisted, shaking her head in disbelief. But Joseph remained firm. "Samuel has great potential, and I believe in him." The next morning, Joseph drove Samuel to a local school. Both were anxious and nervous. Joseph tried to reassure the boy. "This is a new beginning for you. Take advantage of this opportunity." Samuel took a deep breath, determined, and walked alongside Joseph. Upon entering, they were greeted by the secretary, who led them to the principal's office. A middle-aged woman with a stern look on her face regarded them suspiciously. "Good morning. What can I do for you?" the woman asked, not hiding her reluctance. "This is Samuel, and I would like to enroll him in school," Joseph said politely. The principal frowned. "Has the boy ever attended school before?" she asked, casting a critical eye at the boy, who was curiously observing the refined environment. "Samuel has not had the opportunity to attend a formal school, but he is very intelligent and eager to learn. This boy lived on the streets before I obtained temporary custody," Joseph explained, proud of the boy. The principal snorted, crossing her arms. "We do not accept students without academic records." Taking a deep breath to keep calm, Joseph argued, "Everyone deserves a chance. Education is a right, regardless of where they came from. Samuel deserves it as much as any other child." Still, the principal stood her ground. "We can't make exceptions for just anyone." Noticing Samuel's discomfort, Joseph gently squeezed the boy's shoulder. "I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure this boy gets the education he deserves. Samuel is dedicated and has great potential," he insisted. Persistence began to pay off. Reluctantly, the principal suggested, "We can do an initial assessment to see where Samuel stands." After an assessment that confirmed Samuel's potential, the application forms were filled out. "Very well, we'll give you a chance. But if there's any problem, we'll reconsider," the principal warned. Joseph thanked her and as they left knelt down beside Samuel. "You've made it. Don't ever let anyone belittle you. Now show me what you're capable of." Samuel's determined smile promised a bright future. Samuel looked at Joseph, his eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you, sir. I promise I won't forget." Samuel's words touched Joseph deeply, and the man felt a surge of pride and hope. "I know you won't. Let's go." Joseph smiled, feeling a renewed sense of relief in his chest. As they walked through the school hallways, Joseph reflected on how they had gotten here. "First things first, Samuel, this child deserves a future full of opportunities," he thought, feeling that despite the hardships, they were on the right track to transform Samuel's life. The future looked brighter than ever. A few weeks later, Joseph took Samuel to a downtown mall to buy new clothes for school. The boy was excited, but also a little nervous. "I've never had new clothes, sir, except the ones you gave me when I came to live with you," Samuel said, staring at the store windows with wide eyes. Joseph had already bought some clothes for Samuel, but they had never been to a store. Seeing the happiness on the boy's face, Joseph smiled, touched by the simplicity of the moment. "Today you will buy, Samuel. Choose whatever you want, Joseph said, encouraging the boy to make the decision for himself. As they walked into the store, Joseph's phone rang. The man looked at the screen and saw that it was an important work call. "Samuel, please go pick out an outfit. I have to take this call." "I'll be back in a minute," Joseph said. Samuel, still a little hesitant, nodded and went to the clothing section. Samuel began to look at the pieces, admiring the shirts and pants on display. The boy picked up a few clothes, trying to imagine how they would look on him, not knowing that there were fitting rooms. Since he had never been to a store before, he was a little lost. At that moment, a saleswoman approached with a look of disdain. "What are you doing here?" he asked in a cold voice, seeing the boy fiddling with the clothes. Samuel, surprised by the hostile approach, replied timidly, "I'm choosing clothes to buy, but I don't know if they'll fit me." The saleswoman huffed, clearly irritated. "You don't know what a fitting room is. Get out of here now before I call security," she ordered, pushing Samuel toward the door. "Please, my tutor is here. He told me to choose the clothes," Samuel begged, but the saleswoman didn't want to listen. "Get out now," the woman insisted, without any empathy. Joseph, upon finishing the call, saw the scene outside the store and ran inside, his face marked by concern and anger. "What's going on here?" he asked, looking at the saleswoman and then at Samuel. The saleswoman, surprised to see Joseph, tried to justify her actions. "This boy was fiddling with the clothes without permission. This boy doesn't even know what a fitting room is. This place is exclusively for customers." Joseph looked at Samuel, who was visibly affected. "The boy is not an intruder," he said firmly. "Samuel is here at my request." He turned to the saleswoman and added, "It is unacceptable to judge someone by their appearance. I will take my money elsewhere." Joseph took Samuel's hand and left the store, leaving the saleswoman embarrassed, who realized too late her mistake. At the next store, Joseph and Samuel were greeted with friendly smiles and respectful service. Samuel, still a little shaken, chose several new clothes. With the support of Joseph, who guided him to the fitting rooms, Samuel began to feel more confident. "Thank you, sir. I don't know what I would have done without you," he said, trying on a new shirt. Joseph smiled, pleased with his choice. "You deserve it, Samuel. Never let anyone make you feel less than you are." After shopping, they left the store with several bags full of clothes. As they passed the first store, the saleswoman saw them carrying the bags, and when Joseph realized how much they had spent, he stopped in front of the store. "Look at how much we spend here. This is the result of treating people with respect," the man said, showing them the receipts. The saleswoman, now aware of how much she had done wrong, looked at Joseph and then at the receipts. "I'm sorry, sir. I shouldn't have judged so quickly," the woman said, her voice full of regret. Joseph nodded, accepting the apology, but leaving a clear lesson. Remember that next time, everyone deserves respect, no matter who they are. With that, Joseph took Samuel's hand and walked away with the man to continue his day. As they left the mall, Samuel looked at Joseph with eyes full of gratitude. "Thank you for standing up for me, sir. I'll never forget this," he said, clutching the bags with his new clothes tightly. Joseph smiled, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. "I will always be by your side," he replied, and together they walked toward the car, ready to face whatever obstacles lay ahead. When the first day of school arrived, Samuel was nervous, but also eager to begin this new phase of his life. Joseph walked him to the school gates, offering words of encouragement. "Remember, Samuel, you are as valuable as any other child here. Don't let anyone make you think otherwise," Joseph said, squeezing the boy's shoulder. Samuel nodded, determined. "Thank you, sir. I will do my best not to disappoint you," he replied before entering the classroom. The classroom was greeted with curious looks and some murmurs, and teacher Mrs. Charlotte introduced Samuel to the class. "This is Samuel. This boy is new here, and I hope everyone treats him well," the woman said with a welcoming smile. Samuel sat down in a chair at the back of the room, trying to blend in. However, whispers soon began. "I heard the principal say that this boy is a beggar," one boy commented in a low voice, and Samuel felt his face heat up with embarrassment. During recess, a group of children approached him in the courtyard. "Are you really a street kid?" one of them asked in a tone of contempt. Samuel took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "I'm not anymore," he replied, trying to defend himself. Another boy laughed. "Do you think you can be like us? You'll never fit in here," he teased. Samuel walked away, feeling helpless, trying to avoid more conflict. Back in the classroom, Mrs. Charlotte noticed the tension in the room and decided to intervene. "We're going to solve some math problems today," he announced, writing something complex on the blackboard. The class fell silent. No one seemed willing to try. Samuel, despite his shyness, raised his hand. "Can I try, teacher?" he asked in a firm voice. Samuel walked over to the blackboard under the curious gaze of his classmates and heard a quiet comment. "I doubt this boy can do it." Samuel concentrated, remembering the hard days on the streets when he had to calculate exactly how much money he had to survive. The lessons he had learned in his weeks with Joseph had also helped him. With confidence, Samuel began to solve the problem, explaining each step. "First we add these numbers together, and then we multiply the result by 2, Samuel said, writing clearly. The class fell completely silent as the boy worked. When he finished, Mrs. Charlotte reviewed the solution and smiled. "That's absolutely correct, Samuel. Excellent work. You should all learn from Samuel," said the teacher. The class, impressed, began to murmur. "This boy is very smart," whispered one of the girls. Samuel returned home feeling a wave of pride and relief. "Maybe I can really fit in here," he thought, smiling shyly. At the end of the day, Donna Charlotte called Samuel for a chat. "You did an excellent job today. I'm very proud of you," she said with a sincere smile. Samuel, still shy, thanked her. "Thank you, teacher." "I've always had to calculate my money carefully to survive on the streets," Samuel explained, and Donna Charlotte, moved by his story, decided to do everything she could to help the boy. "You have great potential, Samuel. Don't let anyone make you think otherwise," she said, applauding as the boy walked home. Samuel reflected on the day, which had been difficult, but he had proven to himself that he was capable. Smiling, he felt a new confidence grow within him. When he arrived home, Joseph greeted Samuel with a tight hug. "How was your first day?" he asked, with anticipation written all over his face. Samuel smiled, his eyes shining with happiness. "It was good, sir. I managed to solve a difficult problem and the teacher praised me." The answer made Joseph feel a wave of pride and relief. "I knew you could do it, Samuel. You are very smart," Joseph said, hugging the boy even tighter. Samuel, more confident, already knew that there would still be challenges ahead, but he was ready to face them. "Thank you for believing in me, sir. I couldn't have done it without your support," he replied, feeling more confident. Joseph smiled and, looking into Samuel's eyes, said, "I will always be here for you. Let's continue to show everyone your courage." Weeks passed, and Joseph's mansion was quieter than usual. Amelia, with a worried look, noticed that the valuable sapphire brooch was missing. Joseph was at work and Samuel at home doing his homework. That's when Amelia, in a cry of frustration, burst into the room. "Where's my brooch?" she exclaimed, rummaging through the cabinets and drawers. The noise made her realize that something was wrong. "That brooch is worth a fortune," she shouted, her frustration growing. Without thinking twice, Amelia went to Samuel, who was absorbed in the book Joseph had given him. "Samuel, have you seen my sapphire brooch?" he asked in an accusatory tone. Surprised by the question, Samuel looked up from his book. "No, ma'am, I haven't seen your brooch," he replied, trying to remain calm. But Amelia, already suspicious, retorted, even more irritated, "You are the only stranger in this house. It could only have been you." The accusation left Samuel stunned, not knowing what to do. He tried to explain, but Amelia interrupted him. "Don't try to deny it. You always bring trouble. Joseph may trust you, but I never have," she shouted, making Samuel feel small and helpless. Samuel tried to defend himself. "I didn't steal your brooch, ma'am. I swear I didn't do it." But Amelia was determined to blame him. "Prove it wasn't you. Where is the brooch if it wasn't you? Our employees are trustworthy." Samuel, feeling a mixture of anger and sadness, knew that if Joseph had been there, everything would be different. "I don't know where her brooch is, but I didn't take it," he replied firmly, although he felt the weight of the accusation. Unable to hold back his emotions any longer, Samuel began to cry, feeling cornered, with no one to defend him. It was then that Samuel made a difficult decision. The boy no longer wanted to be a source of trouble in Joseph's house. "I can't stay here if you think I'm a thief," he said, as he picked up his old clothes, the ones the boy had worn on the streets before Joseph had helped him. He felt it wasn't fair to be treated this way. Before leaving, Samuel wrote a note to Joseph. "Mr. Joseph, I'm so sorry I have to go. Miss Celia thinks I stole her brooch, but I promise I don't want to cause you any more trouble. Thank you for everything you've done for me. I'll never forget your kindness." With a heavy heart, Samuel left the note on the table and without another word walked out the back door, heading for the streets. As he walked, he couldn't stop thinking about the injustice of the accusation. "I was finally starting to feel at home. And now this," he thought, his eyes filling with tears. He knew his departure would hurt Joseph, but he felt he had no other choice. "Celia will never accept me, but I need to go back to where I deserve to be," he thought with a lump in his throat. Sometime later, Joseph returned home later than usual, tired from work but eager to know how Samuel had fared in school. When he entered the mansion, he felt an eerie silence in the air. "Mom, where's Samuel?" he asked, but received no immediate response. When he entered the living room, he saw Amelia sitting with a stern expression on her face. Joseph entered the house with a worried look on his face. The silence in the mansion was unusual. Something was wrong. The man looked at Amelia, waiting for some sign, and asked, anxiety in his voice, "Where's Samuel?" Amelia sighed, visibly irritated. "Samuel left. He stole my sapphire brooch and ran away," she replied firmly. The words fell like a weight on Joseph, who immediately denied it, his heart sinking. "That doesn't make sense. Samuel wouldn't do that. The boy would never steal from anyone." Amelia crossed her arms with a defiant expression, giving Joseph a cynical look. "Samuel is a street kid, Joseph. What else did you expect? I can't trust him." Joseph felt his stomach churn. Desperately, he began to search for Samuel around the house. The man refused to believe that the boy had run away without saying goodbye. When he looked at the table, a piece of paper caught his eye. It was a note from Samuel. With trembling hands, Joseph read the boy's words. "Mr. Joseph, I regret having to leave. Mrs. Celia thinks I stole her brooch, but I swear it wasn't me. I don't want to cause you any more trouble. Thank you for everything you did for me. I will never forget your kindness." With love and gratitude, Joseph felt a deep pain when he read those words. The man ran to where his mother was, his face contorted with anger and frustration. "Mother, Samuel is not a thief. You accused him unjustly. You shouldn't have let the boy go," Joseph shouted in despair. But before Amelia could respond, one of the house's employees came in angry. "Mr. Joseph, I think I found Mrs. Celia's brooch," said the employee, holding up the object. The jewel was among the towels in the laundry room. It must have fallen there by mistake. Joseph took the brooch with a mixture of relief and anger. Feeling increasingly disappointed, he looked at Amelia. How did Samuel know that? The boy was right all along. The truth is that Samuel was wrongly accused. Amelia remained silent for a moment, absorbing the revelation. "I didn't know. I thought Samuel stole it," the woman murmured, her voice softer and more uncertain. Joseph, still frustrated, replied, "That's the problem, Mother. You assumed the worst because of your prejudices. Samuel is a good boy, and now the boy is lost because of you." With a heavy heart, Joseph knew what he had to do. "I will find him, Mother, and when I bring Samuel back, you will treat him with the respect he deserves." Amelia looked down at the floor, Joseph's words beginning to sink in. "I only want the best for our family," she murmured, embarrassed. Determined, Joseph knew that Samuel couldn't be far behind. He remembered the traffic light where he had first met the boy. It was there that Joseph might find him again. Joseph drove quickly through the city streets, his heart racing with worry. Night was falling, and the city lights were shining all around, but Joseph could only think of finding Samuel. When Joseph reached the traffic light, his eyes scanned every corner, hoping to see a familiar figure. And then, in the distance, the man saw him. Sitting on the curb, his head down, was Samuel. Joseph ran toward the boy, calling his name. "Samuel!" The boy looked up in surprise, and when he saw Joseph approaching, tears began to fall from his eyes. "Did you come looking for me?" Samuel asked, his voice trembling with hope. Joseph knelt beside him, relieved to finally find him. His heart swelled with emotion. "Of course I did, my son. I will never abandon you," Joseph said, his voice choked with emotion. Samuel stood there, his eyes brimming with tears and his head shaking slowly, trying to process everything that was happening. "I thought I'd never see you again, sir," he said, his voice cracking and full of despair. "I didn't steal the brooch, I swear." Joseph patiently placed his hands on Samuel's shoulders and looked him straight in the eye. "I know, Samuel. I always knew you didn't do it. It was a misunderstanding, and I'm here to take you home." The firmness in Joseph's words conveyed all the confidence Samuel needed to hear, but there was still a doubt in the boy's eyes. "And my mother? She doesn't love me, does she?" His voice sounded fragile, almost breaking. Joseph shook his head with determination. "I'll take care of her as soon as possible. The important thing now is for you to come home with me. You deserve to be in a place where you're loved and respected." He helped Samuel to his feet, and the boy, feeling Joseph's support, began to feel safer. "Thank you, Father," Samuel said, his voice choked with emotion. "I trust you." As they walked back to the car, Joseph couldn't help but feel relieved. He knew this was a defining moment for both of them. "You should never have left home, Samuel. That house is yours too. Don't do it again. I'm sorry for everything that happened. I'll find a way to show my mother what's right." Samuel, still slightly teary-eyed, looked at Joseph with gratitude. "Thank you for believing in me." Joseph picked up the phone before starting the car. He knew he had to take drastic action to change the way his mother viewed Samuel. "Hello, please cancel all of my mother's credit cards," he told his assistant firmly. "I know this is the only way to make her reconsider her actions and start seeing Samuel differently." That night, Amelia went to dinner at a fancy restaurant, unaware that her credit cards had been cancelled. After ordering expensive dishes, she was informed that the payment had not gone through. "Sorry, ma'am, your card was declined," the waiter said politely but firmly. She tried with 2 other cards, but the result was the same. "It must be a mistake," she muttered, trying to maintain her composure. Panicking, she went to the manager, trying to explain the situation. "I'm Amelia Benitez. There must be some mistake. Please let me sort this out," she pleaded, but the manager was relentless. "Sorry, Mrs. Benitez, but without payment we can't serve you." Amelia felt a humiliation she hadn't experienced in years. With her face flushed and her heart heavy, she left the restaurant without having eaten. As she walked through the streets, memories of a difficult past came flooding back. "I was young and poor, struggling to survive and take care of Joseph with my late husband. I've forgotten what it's like to be hungry, what it's like to be despised," she thought, tears in her eyes. The memory of how she had faced hardships in the past made Amelia reflect on how she had treated Samuel. When Amelia arrived home, she found Joseph and Samuel in the living room. She hesitantly approached the boy, her heart heavy as she realized the mistake she had made. "Samuel, I'm so sorry," she said, her voice trembling. "I judged you unfairly. Forgive me." Samuel looked at her, surprised and moved, and then looked at Joseph, seeking some confirmation. He knelt before Amelia, his voice calm and sincere. "Of course, Mum. I just want a chance to show that I can be trusted." Amelia, with tears in her eyes, knew that this moment marked the beginning of a new relationship, more fair and full of understanding. Joseph watched the scene, feeling a mixture of relief and hope. He knew that, from that moment on, everything could change. "Mommy, Samuel is now part of our family. If you can't accept it, don't—" He took a deep breath before finishing firmly. "You can continue living here." Amelia looked at Joseph, feeling the weight of his words. Her heart was heavy, but she knew she had to change. "I've learned my lesson, Joseph, I promise," she said, her voice softer but sincere. Joseph felt a surge of satisfaction at seeing the sincerity in her commitment. "We'll start over together," he said, taking a step toward a more harmonious future where their real family would rebuild. Their relationship might not be easy, but he was willing to fight for this new chance. In the weeks that followed, Joseph was granted full custody of Samuel. Although Amelia was initially reluctant and still had a tight grip on custody, she began to see the boy's goodness and character. She saw Samuel helping with the housework, studying hard, and showing respect to everyone with kind gestures. Little by little, Samuel's dedication began to break down the barriers of prejudice that Amelia harbored. "Maybe I was too hard on him," Amelia thought as she watched Samuel play in the garden. She began to realize that he was not just a lost child on the streets, but a child with great potential and immense kindness. He just needed a chance. Time healed Amelia's resentments. She began to respect Samuel more and more, admiring his resilience and determination. Little by little, the woman who had once judged him now saw him with affection, creating an unexpected bond between the two. The dynamics in Joseph's house changed completely, and the house became a more welcoming and harmonious home. Amelia and Samuel developed a relationship of respect and affection, learning to accept each other and grow together. Joseph watched everything with happiness, seeing his mother transform and Samuel feel more and more loved. He knew that finally they were living as a real family. The years passed and Samuel graduated in social work, determined to help children who, like him, just needed a chance. On graduation day, Amelia and Joseph were there, proud of Samuel's journey. He had overcome unimaginable obstacles and was now ready to show the world that everyone deserves a chance. The family was united and stronger than ever. With a smile on his face, Joseph thought, "We are finally a real family." If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to continue bringing you exciting stories almost every day. Don't miss the next incredible story that is about to appear on your screen. We are so grateful for having you here with us. Now click on the videos that are appearing on your screen. We have a special selection of stories and entertainment that you will love.